there's not enough time, there's not enough space, there's not enough energy. Instead of living there, you're living in, oh wow, there actually is enough. We have to learn how to make these mental shifts and then bring it into our reality and our and really see this manifesting in terms of time and connection and respect and all of these things. But it's entirely possible. It's more possible than most people think. How can I take time for me or space for me when it creates more work because everything kind of falls apart? All right, so let's talk about this for a moment. I really want to, my intention as always is to raise your consciousness around in what ways you are creating the reality that you live in. Because until we get there, we cannot do much to solve it. The reason why you take time away and things fall apart, and then you come back and it's more work, and boy, that can create heaps of resentment, exhaustion, bitterness, just feeling like despair, even wanting to give up, wanting to just be like, I'll just totally sacrifice my whole self and well-being because that's easier than trying to take care of me and, in this little box over here and then come back into my life. The reason why it's that things fall apart when you step out, if they do, and for some of you they don't because you haven't set it up that way. The reason why they do is because you've set it up that way. Okay, when we set it up so that everything depends on us, that we're the center of everything relies on us, we do all of we manage everything. We hold all the pieces, we do all the thinking. We don't share that with anybody. We chase people for things, they're accountable to us, not themselves. When we set up the system to run like that, which, I would say most mothers do, then you've set it up so that it's reliant on you, okay? So that you are the point person. And if that point person leaves, it would be unrealistic to expect that other people will automatically know how to suddenly have the level of organization or self-responsibility, that they'll know how to do the things. They won't be used to thinking of how to do the things. And you can say, but I left them a list and I laid everything out and I'm so mad that they didn't do it. I hear this all the time. I'm so mad, they should know. And then we come back in and take it as a personal affront. You might get personally offended or angry that your partner's laying on the couch, the kids have stuff everywhere, no one has done the things you asked them to do. And what's the reaction? To feel really hurt, to take it personally. What happens if you stay there is that you get really, really irritable, run down. You might not be able to continue doing things in the way that you're doing them. And what happens is it puts a big strain on relationships. And then we're not having that kind of connection and closeness in relationships we want. And so when you're stuck in that spiral, the kind of human brain thing to think is, well, the only way this is going to change is if you change, is if you, my partner, my spouse, learn to be more organized. If you take the reins, if I can leave the house and say, hey, you got this and you've got it. But here's the thing about human behavior. It is not like this. It's not like you say it and suddenly all the learning is there in their head and they know how to do it. And the same with our children, that there is a process that we have to go through to learn things. And just like if we don't like the way the system is working, we're going to have to learn to create a better system. We're going to have to learn how to create better strategies that work for other people and for us. It's interesting because it just came up in a client call, and I was working with a client this week on her acknowledgement of having sacrificed a whole lot for her family, willingly, consciously, in a really empowered way. And it worked until it didn't work anymore. I feel the same, very much the same about my life. It worked until I was ready for more, until I was ready for my children to start taking over more, until I was ready to shift things up in my partnership so that we held things differently, so that the distribution of tasks of the mental load, so that was more even. It worked, and I'm just a very practical person, so, and this is what I teach my clients too, like whatever works, that's the thing to do. And if you're miserable, it's not working. If you're bitter, it's not working. If you're feeling like you need to be alone all the time because you can't stand in, being around your family, or you're not enjoying your family, then that's a sign. It's like your heart is showing you and telling you, well, maybe there's a better way. Maybe there's a better way, right? So one of the things to just notice is, if I set it up this way, I can set it up a different way. And here's why we set things up the way that then don't work for us. Some of the times we set them up just because that's the way we saw it done. That's the family we grew up in. So we're just repeating the past. Other times we set it up that way because it's the only thing we know to do. We don't know to do it any other way. We don't know how. We don't know how. We haven't learned that yet. We haven't sought out those teachers yet. We're not following those people yet. We're not tapping into that consciousness yet. That's okay. That's okay. How do you know when it's time to do something about it? That's up to you. That's your own compass telling you when you're ready to change the system. And no one can know that but you, and no one can decide it for you. This is the moment you have with yourself when you go like, I'm so mad, I just don't want to be this mad anymore. It's kind of how it sounds. I'm so done with things going like this. I'm ready to get to work and change it. I want to know how to do it differently. And it may sound differently for you, but that's how it sounds for most of the women who come in and ask me for help. The first step is just acknowledging, wow, it's working this way because I set it up this way. When you think that, then you have power to change it. If you're still thinking, wow, it's working this way because my husband is such an a-hole, then you don't have any power to change it there, right? There's no power there. There's no power for you out here. There's no power for you in your kids and in their initiative, their level of initiative, or their level of motivation. The power is in what I decide my reality is going to be, and then how I line up with how I become a match for that reality, okay? And we become a match for the reality we want by, first of all, defining what that is. And if you've joined me for a challenge before, you know this. Decide what you want. Decide what it is you want. Decide what the reality looks like, how the home feels. Decide what kind of closeness and connection you want in your relationships. Decide how people are going to respect you. Decide how the home is going to run. Decide that everybody has a brain in their head and can think of where things go to be put back. Decide that you're not the only human in your home who can operate a washing machine. I mean, we're getting granular here, but you know what I mean. Decide the things that you are angry about. You can either shift the way you feel about it, or you can shift what you're doing about it. If this is resonating for you and you are ready to up-level your consciousness, you're ready to step into a higher identity of you, meaning creating the reality you want, having life, motherhood on your terms. So being able to write the story, the motherhood story, where you're living in gratitude and in abundance, where instead of living on shortage consciousness, I wrote about this recently, there's not enough time, there's not enough space, there's not enough energy. Instead of living there, you're living in, oh wow, there actually is enough. We have to learn how to make these mental shifts and then bring it into our reality and our and really see this manifesting in terms of time and connection and respect and all of these things. But it's entirely possible. It's more possible than most people think. It's like, that's the power of shifting your thoughts and creating new neural pathways. That's the power of shifting your vibration in your body and turning your heart magnet on. It's the power of removing that heart armor, that wall that's on the heart that most people don't even know it's there. We're walking around with it feeling hurt, we're feeling alone, we're feeling this is moms who come to me overwhelmed, frustrated, so frustrated that they can't just kind of mind over matter and change it. And it really does take expert help. It's nothing that we can sort of do to ourselves. It's like brain surgery. We wouldn't perform brain surgery on ourselves. We just we wouldn't dream of it. So how can we really really overhaul our mental emotional health and awareness without that help as well? So definitely send me your questions, you guys. Send them in. I'm happy to look over those. You can PM those to me and be happy to sift through and sort of pick the one that rises to the top. Definitely reach out if you'd like some help, you're curious and want to know more, and we'll connect. We'll have a chat. You can message me. You can also feel free to email me, honor@honorjanetsky.com. If you want to get on my email list, that's a good way too. This is the one place on social media where you'll hear someone saying, like, motherhood doesn't have to be so hard. It doesn't have to feel like a struggle, and it's possible to have ease, and it's possible to feel more than enough. And all of these things are foundational pieces of having loving connection in your relationships. And that can heal and does heal once we get you sorted out. So feel free to reach out to me. Be happy to answer your questions. Be happy to, to have a listen to what's going on. See if I can help you.